Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Entitled People. Hope you're all doing awesome today, and it's time to check out some more Reddit posts. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and let's get into it. Panhandler gets revenge on herself. Years ago, I worked at a small real estate office on a very busy corner in a Chicago suburb. We got an inordinate amount of beggars. One morning I come in, get my morning activities done, and I notice a lot of our plants are drooping. I figured I'd water them while taking a break. Since the secretary usually does this, I asked the secretary if she has a pitcher she usually uses. She tells me this day, I think it was a Friday, is when she feeds the plants. She tells me to take a super heaping big scoop of plant food, dissolve it into a thin slurry with a little water, and then pour a little in each plant before coming back to water the plants with straight water. Okay, so I put a huge scoop in an empty Dunkin' Donuts coffee cup, because I don't see a pitcher or bucket or anything substantial. I assume you already see where this is going. I stir it up and it's kind of thick and blue. I bring it to the secretary's desk. She starts laughing and says she dissolves it in a pitcher. She tells me where the pitcher is and puts a cover on the Dunkin' cup before she starts swirling it to mix it more. This gets really contrived, so I'll cut to the chase. I get the pitcher, and while I was in the kitchen filling it, I poured some coffee in regular glass mugs and brought it all up front for us. We're chatting when a beggar walks in. She's dressed normally and gives us the standard stories that are almost always, I haven't eaten in 3 days, and I need to take a bus downtown for my AIDS treatment. I don't know why they all use those two lines, but since we heard it a dozen times a day, we knew it was the standard scam. Anyway, she asks for money. We say no, and she busts out another line we heard multiple times a day from beggars we turned down. You rich real estate brokers are cheap a-holes. She finally sees the Dunkin' Donuts cup. She asks if we can at least give her a couple dollars for a cup of Dunkin'. We say no. She asks if we can give her a mug of coffee. We say no. I'm not giving anything to someone who just called me a cheap a-hole. She says, "Fine, I'll just take this." And she literally snatches the Dunkin' cup from the secretary's hand. She runs out triumphantly, hollering something we didn't understand because we were in shock, and about to erupt with laughter. And now comes the self-revenge. Twofold, almost three. We watch through the wall of glass windows as she takes a big old healthy swig of Miracle-Gro and realizes she got a mouthful of chemicals. She doubles over and spits it all out. Self-revenge 1. She then whips the cup into the 95th Street traffic without looking and miraculously hits a squad car. Thick blue Miracle-Gro sludge explodes across the side of the pristine white Evergreen Park police cruiser. The cop immediately slams on his brakes and jumps out. She's coughing and spitting and hacking and pointing at us. The cop talks to her for a minute and then comes in with her and says she's claiming we deliberately gave her poisoned coffee. We explain the situation and he mentions that he knows her because she panhandles at different businesses every day as she walks home from work. Yes, work. We later found out she's a teller at a bank down the street. We get her some water since she's looking a bit green around the gills. This was the early days of decent security cameras, but we had one and it was all on tape. The cop didn't even look at the footage and asks if we'd like to have her arrested for stealing our plant food. He's on the verge of laughing. We're already giggling since we know we're off the hook. This lady is blazing with anger and embarrassment and fear. We say not to arrest her, since she punished herself for her stupidity. The cop then wrote her a ticket for $500 for littering. Revenge 2. I actually feel kinda bad about that. I think drinking Miracle-Gro was more than enough punishment, and we were willing to let her go. Revenge 3 would have been us having her arrested, but we're not scumbags. A possible fourth revenge could have been a battery charge. Maybe a cop or a lawyer can back me up here, but this cop said that assaulting a vehicle that a police officer is in can be construed as battery against the officer. He kept threatening her with a battery charge against him when she'd start getting loud or bitchy. She wanted us to go to prison for trying to poison her, and she kept spinning the story as if we invited her in and force-fed her a cup of cold blue slushy poison. She pushed that narrative even after we pointed out the camera, and the secretary started queuing up the footage. It was almost comical how the cop completely dismissed the idea of the footage. He knew her game. Anyway, after saying he could charge her with battery for the upteenth time, she said, "It was just a cup." He paused for a second and almost comically responded, Only a few minutes ago, it was a cup of poison these people tried to kill you with. So you threw a cup of poison at me that exploded all over my rig? You intentionally threw poison at me? How is that not an attempt to harm? While I'm not sure if that's true about being able to charge her with battery, it certainly kept her in line as he sorted out what happened. Am I the a-hole for being upset with my housemate for allowing a homeless man into our home? I'm a 24-year-old female and I live with the housemate, Erin, 25. Erin and I aren't very close, and we'll only talk if I run into her in our shared spaces, living room/kitchen. Erin told me a while back she befriended a homeless man, Sam. She used to give him spare change and started to cook for him, so he would have something to eat. That is completely her business. However, last month, she gave him our address and told him he can come pick up food from ours. She didn't tell me this until I found out, as we have a Ring doorbell, which has a camera that alerts your phone if someone comes over. I normally don't check as I am at work most days, and most of the alerts are just someone walking by. I am only in the house to sleep or my one day off. Erin knows if I have 2+ days off, I usually go see my parents, who live in the same city, but it is a long commute, so not feasible every day. I had a parcel coming last week, so did check the phone alert and saw Sam at our door. She has shown me pictures of him, so I knew it was him, and I was angry she had given our location to a stranger. I confronted her over this, as I feel that this is unsafe and uncomfortable that he knows our address. She told me that he was only there to eat food and stays in the kitchen. Erin argued that I have friends over all the time too, and I am judging him for being homeless. I let it go, but told her that I don't want him to be anywhere near my room. I went home for 3 days, and usually I go straight from my parents to work, but I came last night around 11 p.m. instead, as I was scheduled to come in earlier. I found Sam was sleeping in my bed. We have a single bed each, and I screamed, waking up both Erin and Sam. I told him if he didn't get out now, I would call the police for trespassing. Sam left, and Erin is now angry at me and will not speak to me. Not paying for my neighbor's child's medical bills. We bought our new house last year. When we first viewed the house, we noticed bikes and children's toys in the driveway and on the side of the yard. At our final walkthrough, before we signed the final documents and got the keys, we noticed kids in the driveway coloring with sidewalk chalk and riding scooters and bikes. We introduced ourselves to the kids and asked where they live. They pointed at the house next door. After the walkthrough, my significant other and myself went to the house the kids pointed out and introduced ourselves to the parents and let them know we were buying the house and would be moving in. We also mentioned that with the trucks coming and us moving things in and out, it was not safe to have the kids in the driveway. All was fine when we moved in. The kids didn't play in the driveway, but they were still leaving toys and digging in the side yard. We went over and asked the neighbors to please have the kids clean the toys up and stop digging in the yard. The mother said that Mr. and Mrs. X, previous owners, always let the kids try and dig for fossils in the yard and laughed. We said that we were not Mr. and Mrs. X, and that we did not want the kids digging or playing in our yard. Then they started up with the bikes in the driveway again. We have cameras facing the front of the house, and saw that they would ride in the driveway and the yard, and they were also starting to draw again with the chalk. We again went over to the neighbor's house and let them know we did not want the kids playing in our driveway, our yard, or drawing on it with chalk. The neighbor again said that Mr. and Mrs. X always let them do it, and again we explained that we were not Mr. and Mrs. X, and we did not want them to do this. We also followed this up with a letter to the neighbors, and informed that the kids were not allowed to play, dig, or draw on our property, and sent it certified mail. Fast forward to Sunday. My significant other is in the house, and I'm in the garage cutting wood for some projects. I pulled my truck out of the garage so that I could work. About 20 minutes in, I hear the neighbor's kids laughing in the driveway, so I went out to see what they were doing. They were riding bikes on the driveway. I told them to please not ride their bikes on the driveway and go on home. Not 5 minutes after I said that, I heard the kids again, and then heard a scream. One of the kids rode his bike straight into the truck. The neighbor came out screaming at me, accusing me of causing this. The other kid told her that wasn't true, and the kid rode right into the car. My significant other came out to see what the commotion was, and the neighbor started screaming at significant other that we would regret this. Last night, the father came to our house and said that we are responsible for the medical bills from kid getting hurt. I told him we are not responsible, and that his kids should not even be in our yard. Update. My significant other and I read every comment and decided to get proactive. We viewed the camera footage from the day of the incident, and it does show me on camera telling the kids to go home and not play on the driveway. It does show the kid riding the bike on the driveway, but unfortunately, the way the truck was parked, it did not pick up the kid riding into it. It picked up the sound, but no video. It did, however, pick up the other kid telling the mom that the kid rode into the truck. Significant other called our homeowner's insurance company and informed them of the incident. The agent we deal with asked for us to send him copies of the certified letter/receipt and video of the incident. He says that as far as our insurance is concerned, if they do call and try to claim, they will fight it. He too suggested that we go to the police, so we went there this afternoon. We took copies of the letter and video and showed it to the officer who took the report. He said that the neighbors have been fairly warned that they are not welcome on our property, and asked if we wanted them trespassed. We said yes. The officer said that another patrol officer would go there this afternoon and speak with the family and let them know that they have been trespassed from our property. After the police left, the father went on a profanity-laced tirade in the yard, calling myself and my significant other some very choice names. Again, while there is no video, it is recorded by the camera. We will be getting new cameras that show that portion of the driveway. Want me to come into work while throwing up? Okay. I work at a crappy fast food place, and because of my age, I sadly can't get a different job yet. A couple of days ago, I was throwing up a lot. I had to work 5 to 12 and I had already called out this month. I called my boss telling him I couldn't come in because I was throwing up. His exact words were, "We have plenty of trash cans in a bathroom. See you at 5. Then he hung up. I was very mad, but I'm also a very petty person, so I thought, okay, bet, and went to work. I was obviously not feeling well and everyone could tell when I got there. My boss put me on the line, food making, and told me to push through it. I worked for about 30 minutes before I started getting nauseous. I waited until right before I was about to puke, ran to my boss, hunched over, and threw up right on his shoes. Multiple customers saw this and started gagging. I looked up at my boss, smiled, and said, I couldn't make it to a trash can. Sorry. Let's just say he allowed me to go home. Also, a little fact, I am 14 years old and he still did this. And that's going to be it for today. Thank you all for watching, I appreciate it. Be sure to drop a like if you enjoyed and also hit that subscribe button for more. So have an awesome day and I'll see you next time.